With the world's population ever growing, the global agriculture industry is projected to increase by over $4 billion in the next 4 years. During the early stages of the pandemic, shortages and backlogs in global transport networks made this harrowingly clear. People are now also taking it upon themselves more than ever to ensure food security for their families and communities. Homesteading, plant-based diets, rooftop greenhouses, these are all solutions to issues in the agricultural industry that we'll be exploring today. We'll also be looking at trends for the global market that will be in demand in 2022. First, plant-based diets. With veganism and plant-based diets steadily on the rise, dairy and meat alternative sales nearly doubled in 2020. On average, consumers are including 14% more of these plant-based products. Many of these products use a plant protein alternative such as soy or pea protein. Because of this, crops such as soy, peas, and wheat, which make up a lot of vegan products, will continue to be in high demand. Other crops popular in plant-based diets are those used to make dairy-free milks. Oats, almonds, cashews, and coconut are all popular alternatives to dairy milks. While most cite animal welfare and ethics as a reason to make this switch, a surprising 35% of people who eat a plant-based diet are in it for the environmental reasons. The largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions is the livestock industry, with beef making up the majority of those emissions. Livestock rearing also uses a vast amount of fresh water, and the runoff, byproducts, and waste cause illness in humans living in proximity to meat farms. The waste also has a detrimental effect on surrounding wildlife and landscape. Next up, technological advances. Despite veganism's recent rise to stardom, there seems to be a carnivore born for every person who makes the decision to omit meat from their diet. Meat products are still considered one of the most important staple foods for many cultures. Many are not willing or ready to give up their steaks and hamburgers. In the past year, the chicken and beef industries have bounced back in most countries, and sales are resuming their pre-pandemic trajectory. In the next decade, many are predicting that consumers will be getting more adventurous and consuming more wild game and products like quail eggs. With the automation becoming more present in virtually every industry, agriculture is no exception. Sophisticated technologies will allow farmers to understand their crops better by recording data with advanced sensors. Robotics will also reduce accidents related to farming equipment significantly. Although fully automated machinery still has a long way to go, GPS devices and drones are also being used more and more to acquire visual data otherwise not available from the ground. These technologies are being developed in the hopes of making agriculture safer, more eco-friendly, efficient, but most of all, more profitable. Now we take a look at anti-waste. The anti-waste movement has been gaining traction for decades within small eco-conscious communities. With global pollution out of control, it's become increasingly obvious in recent years that this issue must be tackled at the source. Even if everyone on the planet suddenly became waste-free, only buying reusable bags and containers and recycling and or composting as much as possible, it still wouldn't make much of a dent in the amount that is wasted by the agricultural and food production industries. Corporations must find solutions to keep edible fruits and vegetables out of landfills unnecessarily. Some of these solutions are quite creative, and all of them are delicious. One of the most popular solutions to food waste is turning ugly or not aesthetically pleasing foods into freeze-dried snacks. There is an online service called the Rotten Fruit Box, which sends customers boxes of delicious, free-dried fruits that would have otherwise been thrown out. Other companies like Loop use ugly fruits to make their tasty cold-pressed juices and sour fruity beers. Another unexpected way to recycle food waste into something useful by making them into textiles, such as leathers or fabrics. Pinatex is a vegan leather alternative made from pineapple leaves, and Parblex is a type of biodegradable plastic made from potatoes. Now let's talk about rooftop greenhouses. With populations continuing to grow, many vertical and rooftop greenhouses are starting to pop up all over the world. The trend started in Japan, which has a relatively small landmass compared to its population. Due to a lack of farming space, Japan imports much of its fruits and vegetables. There was high demand for quality fresh fruit and vegetables, and the vertical greenhouse was the solution. They've been operating on a small scale since the 1970s, with a trend and only catching on in Western countries in the 2010s. The reason for this is because vertical greenhouses are expensive to operate and actually require more energy than a traditional farm. While they do have their advantages in cities, in areas with ample farmland, it's not an economic option. A middle ground between traditional farming and vertical greenhouses is the rooftop greenhouse. A rooftop greenhouse utilizes the space already taken by some sort of warehouse or industrial building. Greenhouse is simply built on top of it, requiring significantly less artificial light than vertical warehouses. If you're interested in growing your own food in the comfort of your home, stick around to hear our favorite indoor crops for 2022. Next up, cannabis. With the legalization of marijuana in many countries and states in the past few years, the cannabis industry will continue to boom in the years to come. Cannabis, while widely used as a recreational substance, is also a potent medicine and can treat a range of symptoms from mild to severe. Research has shown that cannabis has an incredible power to help drastically reduce seizures as well. Not only is it a useful medicine and a safe alternative to consuming things like alcohol, but hemp, the non-psychoactive cousin of marijuana, can also be used to make a wide range of textiles. Hemp rope and fabric is incredibly strong and durable, and also relatively eco-friendly and inexpensive to produce. The taboo against cannabis that seized hemp production in the United States is slowly easing, which will hopefully allow the industry to provide more responsible textile options. It can even be made into plastic and fuel. Now we have immune system boosters. Although superfoods have been quite the buzzword since the 90s, there has been a recent uptick in people preaching about the benefits of certain foods. While superfoods are usually just fruits or vegetables that contain a high level of some vitamin, it's important to make sure that our bodies are ingesting enough of each vitamin. So it's useful to be aware of what's in the food you're consuming. Many are aware of citrus fruits and their incredibly high level of vitamin C. Stores have seen their citrus sales skyrocket in the past few years with no indication of slowing down. Another category that's gained popularity in recent years is fermented foods such as kombucha or miso. The benefits of the digestive system help you process foods correctly, therefore getting more of the good stuff out of what you eat. Bone broth is also popping up more and more as a beverage consumed for its youth-retaining collagen. Up next, homesteads. With population soaring, the agricultural industry will not be slowing down anytime soon. Recent supply chain issues, however, have shown how fragile the system we depend on to feed us really is. This has pushed many to pursue homestead life or to reduce their grocery bill by supplementing it with homegrown foods. With the cost of living and the state of the housing market, it's also much more realistic for most people to buy a house outside of the city. Homesteading is catching on, with many taking it upon themselves to learn how to raise livestock and grow plants. Hydroponics is a popular option for homesteaders, which can yield large amounts of food in little time with the right setup. Small animals such as chickens or quails can provide meat and eggs for relatively little cost, and goats are becoming popular homesteading animals for their dairy production. Lastly, indoor crops. For those who don't have access to land, it's also possible to grow food indoors or in an apartment, even with minimal sunlight. One indoor crop that's rapidly gaining popularity is mushrooms, with many fail-safe kits available online with detailed step-by-step instructions on how to cultivate shrooms. They actually require no sunlight at all, so they can even be grown in a basement. Some plants that grow great indoors with minimal sunlight are lettuce, alpine strawberries, and microgreens. Microgreens and sprouts need a warm environment but minimal sunlight and are an incredibly nutrient-dense food that's ready to eat in only a few days. Even root vegetables like carrots and radishes, which are cool weather crops, can do extremely well inside and mature in as little as 5 weeks. You can find everything you need to start from seed at a local gardening or hardware store, with the initial setup being as little as $20. Those who are willing to invest in some LED grow lights can significantly widen the range of crops that can be grown indoors. We hope this has inspired you to start a little hobby farm of your own. Whether or not you have the time and the resources, you'll be happy to know that there are millions of people worldwide working together to keep your fridge fully stocked with a wide array of foods. Let us know what you think is going to change for the agricultural industry in 2022.